Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. The room was quiet, save for the beats of machines that were measuring the progress of Tigerlily Taylor. It was a sterile air, or at least it was trying to be, and it smelled of disinfectant, concern, and mild discomfort. Tigerlily was now pale as her mole, vibrant energy transferred to frailty, laying on the bed. Her cheeks, lips, and forehead were as white as chalk. Her lips were chapped, and she breathed shallow and slowly. The IV lines running from her arms could as well be holding her to life. Adnan Abdel Fattah stayed beside her bed and held her hand as if he could make her strong by force of his desire. Spheres of fatigue were visible beneath his eyes, proof of nights to watch over her. His face, which was usually very calm and relaxed, showed the panic and the feeling of having been rendered helpless. He bent down slightly and whispered to her. His voice shook slightly. "You are going to make it through this," he said, as though saying it out loud would make it so. "You are the toughest man I've ever come across of." Tigerlily woke up a little, and with her eyes opened. Despite her weary eyes, she was staring into his eyes with a love sparkle which diminutive might be there. She tried to smile that they could barely see the signs of lipstick drawn on her lips. Her voice was barely audible. "I'm trying, Adnan, but it's so hard." Adnan put his finger between his lips to prevent him from crying. He took her hand in his and gave it a slight squeeze, bringing his face forward. "I can't lose you," he whispered, barely containing his tears. "I won't lose you." Sometime later, she could hear the sound of his pacing up and down the hall outside her closed door. Adnan had his phone to his ear. His voice rushed and hushed as he told Amelia, Tigerlily's mother, what had happened. His words were housing a desperation that I have seen in few people in my life. "They are conducting more tests," he said, taking some time to regain his breath. "They said she is relatively stable now, but they have not yet diagnosed what is making her condition that way." He stopped, and for a second looked intently at the ground as if expecting to hear something. His other hand swept through the tousled hair. "I'll do anything to help her, you know that," he said quickly, struggling to keep control of his emotions. "Just, please, get here as soon as you can." As soon as he hung up, he sank down against the wall. He felt the burden of the weight and bent forward, looking while he had the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. That night, the lighting of the room rose to a small lamp. Adnan sat by Tigerlily's bed with pen and paper ready to take note. He read the lines out loud, softly but very confidently. "Do you remember this?" he asked, glancing at her. "I woke up one morning on our wedding, and you said 3 things you wanted from me." Tigerlily could only smile a little before her eyes shut, recalling the memory at hand. "You always fight for us," she croaked softly. There was a faint, bitter sugar twist to Adnan's lips. "But also, to never give up no matter how rough things get," he said quietly, reaching a bit for the emotions. Her fingers extended limply towards his hand to grasp it. Adnan took it right away. He was grabbing it like he wanted to shield it. "You have delivered on each of your promises, Adnan," she uttered in a very thin tone of her voice. Adnan rubbed his jaw, then clenching it even more as the tears began welling up in his eyes. "I'm making it new," he responded, and I could hear the firmness in his voice. "It shall take some time. Let it be done. Please let me say, we'll get through this together. Whatever it takes." The days went on, and in it appeared hope in the horizon. They had say what was once a nearly hushed room became gradually lighter as Tigerlily's health started to get better. Her face returned to something not devoid of pink, and although her voice remained low, there was more resolution in it now. Turning a little sideway on bed, she laughed softly while admiring Adnan carefully feeding her the soup. "You're obviously enjoying this way too much," she said, smiling faintly at him. To Adnan's relief, the smile seeped through his face, which manifested in a grin. "Hello. I'm just showing that I am capable of being husband of the year." He laughed, but was clearly emotional. Adnan was seen in the lobby of the hospital, and when he opened up to the cameramen, his voice bore agony. The constant and cynical attitude he had adopted had been replaced by tragic nakedness. Forcing a jovial look to his face, he asked, "That must have been a lie, because this has been the hardest time of my life." But it is also important because it has helped me understand exactly how much Tigerlily is still dear to me. Until now, I have never felt the way I feel about her toward anyone else. In the room, Tigerlily lay still, half her head lying on Adnan's shoulder. He had got into the small hospital bed next to her, pulling her close and putting an arm around her shoulders. They say they didn't say anything to one another, but the passion-filled silences and promises of the future made them complete. The camera pulled out, and the couple was seen in each other's arms, as the sound of the machines filled the room. It was one of peace and of determination, of something like hope, that they had managed to find one another in even the worst of times. They didn't know what would come next, but they knew they were standing side by side, and that was enough. This gossip is over. If you like the video, then give your opinion in the comment box, and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.